So, Joe, who's your newcomer of the year?
I'm going to go with Raymond on this one, and I don't know if you can go with anybody else. Technically a newcomer, redshirt freshman, wins freshman of the year. He was a leader on the court.
Yeah, I'm going to go with someone different, though. I'm going to go with my preseason pick. I'm going to say Mark Renelique. He led the team in scoring. You know, Renelique, he had his ups and downs this season, but, you know, most players on the team did. But when he was on, there was no one who shot the ball better than Mark Renelique.
Pete, I think you make a great point. Mark Renelique definitely was a game changer. 3-pointers, you know, and when he was in, he was definitely hitting, and it was tough to stop him. But I'm going to have to go with Joe on this one, too, with Raymond. Just simply because the freshman came in and really basically became a dominant force in the GLIAC. He was one of those players that could shoot, he could score, he was getting the rebounding, and you know he was starting to play within that defense too and picking up a couple steals here and there. His minutes played, 35.9 a game, is just something that I think you've got to give him a nod for that.
Okay, so we had newcomer of the year. Now, what about a breakout player for the season?
Coming into the season, you thought it was going to be the freshman Jared Benson. You thought he's going to be inside, he's going to be that presence that we've been waiting for since Ricky Volsi and Marco Volsi have been here, but that didn't quite happen. So I went with Raymond McElroy on this one as well, McElroy. Just a breakout in the sense of, as a floor general, he's starting to develop. As a scorer, he's starting to develop. He's passing the ball. The turnovers are going down, so I think he's also a breakout player to look out for.
Yeah, my breakout player is also Raymond McElroy. Like I said earlier, his decision-making over the season just really improved. His scoring was there. He led the team in assists. And one thing I think that also should be noted is his three-point shooting. I think it's a lot better than anyone expected out of him.
Yeah, Raymond obviously shot the ball extremely well from beyond the three-point line this season. I think he was second on the team in three-pointers. But whatever, regardless of it, he was definitely a deep threat. My breakout player is going to go to Rowe. Austin Rowe is one of those players that I love to watch because he comes in with an intensity off the bench. He's a spark plug for the team, and he gets to the free throw line. If there's anything that you ask of a player who comes in to try and make an impact, it's to either draw some fouls, make a big defensive play, or a big scoring play. And I think Austin Rowe did all those things this season. He played in 25 of the team's 27 games, so he was definitely there for him. Started in 10 towards the end of the season, so I think if there's somebody who's a breakout player, I think it's Rowe.
All right, Joe, who's your unsung hero of the year?
Unlike you guys, you went with Chris Warner for MVP. When I think of unsung hero, this probably doesn't fit for Warner. Everybody knows who he is, but the spotlight's not on him, even though he's a great defensive player. He leads the team in rebounds. He's a gutsy. He's a leader off the court and on the court. Who's the guy you watch that's driving to the hoop the most? It's Chris Warner, and I think that doesn't go said for as much as his play that's more aggressive or that looks good.
Well, I'm going to go with Kyle Green for my Unsung Hero award. He only played 20 minutes a game, but when he was in there, there were 20 good minutes. He led the team in blocks. He played good defense. He averaged 6 points and 5 rebounds a game. He just played solid. You know what you're going to get with him: hard work every game out there.
Yeah, Pete, I have to agree with you on the Green choice. I think it's a great choice. Green and Eric Sarine were definitely two guys that I considered, throwing down here and saying that these guys have to be it, but I went with Tyler Kazmarkowski. He was a senior this season. He honestly had a great season. Scored better than he did the year before. He was scoring at will for weeks at a time, being named the GLIAC North Division Player of the Year at least once, if not twice. And he was a defensive leader. He knew what to expect from the other team. He knew where to go in the zone defense that they're running. And as a senior, I don't think you could have asked anything more of him. Maybe he would have expected to have a little more minutes up until the season when we knew that they're going to have a little more depth, but I think he accepted a role, he played within it, and I doubt anyone would have asked anything more of Tyler.
Yeah, great choice.
So coming into next season, you got to wonder, what do the players have to do in the offseason to get a good group of people together? Is it just pick up basketball? Just get used to each other?
I think it is. I think these guys need to come together as a team. The chemistry. You can say that cliche phrase of we need to come together as a team over and over and over again, and that's what the team was doing when they were in their slump. Well, the only way to do that is to be together, to stay here over the summer, work out together, and really build that team chemistry that way. I think Jared Benson, for one, needs to become stronger, more durable, so he can stick in there, not pick up as many fouls. I think Chris Warner still needs to come along in his rehab. I think he would probably still tell you that he's not to what he was when he was the athletic, base spark plug to Ricky Volsey's leader. There's a lot of things that need to happen for this team. I think specifically they need to get to more experience. Those freshmen to come in and play a little more. We know we saw a great season from Raymond, but he's still got more to give, and the rest of those freshmen too.
Yeah, definitely experience plays a huge factor. And you look at the team this year; they had a lot of different, new pieces to the team. It was not the same team we saw last season.
I think one thing that we don't talk about a lot is they had a huge issue with foul trouble throughout the whole year. You look at the first game, Northland Baptist Bible College, a lot of foul trouble in the first half there, and it's because a lot of players they don't know where to go exactly, a lot of mix-up on the court, and I think if you can clear up those issues, it'll help a lot.
I think it's going to help, too, like you had said, to get these new players in. D'Agostino's, for one. Sabino Eiffel will be back next season. And Mark Renelic as well. All these guys still learning that defense, still trying to figure out what they're going to do inside of it. And, ideally, a couple of pickup games, maybe some individual workouts, which I know they do throughout the summer. Those are definitely going to help those guys to become, more of a part of the team.
So losing Kaz Murkowski, who's obviously a leader, who's going to, besides Chris Warner, who's that secondary leader, vocal guy that's going to step up next year, you think?
Well, I think if you talk to the coaching staff, they're going to tell you that it is Raymond McElroy, only because from day one when he came in, he was, I guess you would call him a loudmouth. He came in and he knew exactly what he wanted. He knew what the rest of the team could do, and he forced the guys to give them his best. If they didn't go at him 100%, then he was going to come down on him. And, if he wasn't going 100%, he would try to bring himself up. And because of that, he's a competitor. He's a player that the coaches love. And I think, even as a sophomore, he'll have the ability to step up and be some sort of a leader.
You obviously see that on the court whenever he's playing. He's pumped up, he's juiced, he's ready to go. And if he comes a little bit more vocal to the team, then especially as a sophomore, it's going to be key to this team.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, but I'd add Mark Renelic to the mix as well. His minutes kind of started, wavering a bit towards the end of the season, but if anyone watched the Finlay game, he was very vocal in that game, and he was really playing hard, and I think his defense is stepping up, and he's being more of a leader, and I think that's what Dean Ellis was looking for out of him.
Yeah, but I think what we need to come back to here is the fact that Chris Warner is the unquestioned leader of this
Right,
team.
Yeah, definitely.
No doubt about it.
If there's anybody else who's even a second in command, that second in command is pretty much, probably a sergeant to a 5-star general is what we're looking at. Chris Warner is the guy who's been leading this team for almost 3 years, including the year where he was injured and on the sidelines. He was still pulling guys aside, pulling Jake Sardini aside as a senior and saying, Jake, you got to do this, you got to do this better. So I think we expect big things out of Chris Warner, and it's going to be fun to watch him in his final season.
We know Troy Mattson, Dean Ellis, really good friends. You think he's going to talk to Troy Mattson maybe in the offseason, Dean Ellis, that is, say they got a great team chemistry working on the women's side, and I think that's a big key going into next year for the men's side. They're going to talk this summer, right?
I think if they do, there's it's tough to determine exactly where they went wrong as far as the chemistry goes. I think you can't really put a lot of blame on this coaching staff just because these people were all thrown together. It was a hodgepodge of characters that were thrown together at the very beginning of the season, and you throw in that the redshirt freshmen as well, who basically weren't that much part of the team last season. They were off doing their other things, their individual workouts, and not traveling with the team either. So it's a different group, and it's hard to blame the coaching staff. But I think if there's one thing you can do, you just say, hey, Chris Warner, take this team and bring us to the promised land. I mean, I think that's what Dean's going to do.
If I look at this team, and one thing I got to wonder next year is the focus going to be more inside, or are we going to look at another perimeter shooting team that hopes on the three-pointer?
I think it's going to be a little more focus on the inside, and I think the only reason I say that is because I expect Jared Benson to come and be a lot bigger of an impact and take a lot more minutes. And with Benson inside, he's a big body. He's 6'10", probably a 7-footer, legitimate wingspan-wise. And, with him inside and the ability of maybe a Kyle Green gone. But they do have other players coming in who can play the post, and even Chris Warner could probably play the post, and he likes to back players down. So hopefully that'll be integrated as well.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the team responds next season. Hopefully, a better season than this year.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to wrap up our roundtable discussion. For Kurt Kemp and Joe Dexter, I'm Pete Francis, and we'll see you next time.